$19 billion liquidated in a very short time. That smells to me of liquidation hunting. It's all about dollars and fiat, and they're going to take it from you if you stay at that casino long enough. And in hindsight, I wish I would have went 90% Bitcoin and 10% real estate, because now I got real estate that it's kind of like a liability. But you notice that Bitcoin only goes up and to the right with moments of like one floor elevator down, and then it just starts marching up again. The players are different, and I don't think they care about the 4-year cycle anymore. I think a new cycle might emerge, a new trend, or we might just...
Today, I'm excited to welcome Pat back to the podcast. Pat is a Bitcoin advocate, a firefighter, and a node runner. Good to see you again, Pat.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here again, Paula. I always enjoy our conversations. Always enjoy them. Learn something every time.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. For those who missed our first interview, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Bitcoin.
Yeah, real quick. Nothing special. Everyone has a unique story in Bitcoin, and I'm just another regular guy who was fortunate enough to find Bitcoin. As you said, Paul, I am a firefighter. I'm a nurse and paramedic, taught in community colleges, and I ran my own small business for many, many years. So I've done a lot, and it's all centered around emergency work, you know. So how I came to find Bitcoin, and besides doing all that work, working 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, back in 2016, I was engaged to be married, and I had the unfortunate news of coming down with cancer. So some people may know that about me. I had colon cancer, and it was pretty aggressive, pretty tough. Shocking, because I was very, very healthy at the time. So the funny thing about cancer, unless someone's been through this, a slow process of facing death, mortality, if you will, it's very scary, and it changes you, it rewires your brain. If you focus on getting well and rethinking life, you can rewire your brain and think differently, changes your perspectives. And only people who've been there really understand that. We all have loved ones who've had cancer, who have passed on, but unless you've been in that shoes, in that hospital bed, it's tough to understand. So being married, being young at the time, being a firefighter, it was very scary. Being a nurse, I knew the outcomes and the numbers. But at that time, your life becomes, what do you have? You know, what could you have done better? What are you going to leave behind for people? So I started doing the math, and I'm just looking at a bunch of numbers on the screen, bunch of things I don't really own, bunch of meaningless things that I own. And I was trying to come to find a way, how do I pass on things? Because I was actually thinking like that. How do I pass on something to make things more comfortable for other people? And it was just not of value. So, and it was hard to do. So I started thinking of things. I'll buy a physical place, like real estate. That way I can pass that on to some heirs or my new wife. And Bitcoin. You know, I was always techie back in college days. I started finally, well, maybe this is something I should look at because of the number go up. I could make her life comfortable if she just holds on to it with very specific instructions. And I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't buy any Bitcoin until I came down with cancer. So I went 50-50, real estate and Bitcoin. Transferred everything, sold a lot of things, got rid of everything unnecessary, stopped spending, focused on health, and focused on two things, real estate and Bitcoin. And in hindsight, I wish I would have went 90% Bitcoin and 10% real estate, because now I got real estate that it's kind of like a liability, but it's there. It's just another asset. So fast forward, I'm still here. 2016, 2017 is when that journey started, and I'm still here. Been ups and downs along the way, but I'm still here, and just holding on until things develop. We're very early. So that's my story of how I got into Bitcoin. And I've gone through all the things other Bitcoiners have: doubt, lower conviction levels, higher conviction levels. But here we are in 2025, and conviction could not be higher. I think we're early, and I think there's a lot of tailwinds. A lot of things are going to change real fast. That's my belief. So I'm staying in, not selling, and I don't care.
Well, we're definitely going to get to your real estate investments. But tell us about the current market. We just had a recent correction, as some people would say. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. If I was new to this, I would say, wow, that was scary. How the heck could that happen so quickly? Right at the end of the market, off hours, something stinks. And I don't know if it's because I've been into it so long, but if you really analyze what happened, it's a nothing burger, I think. I mean, nothing happened to the network, nothing happened to the protocol. Fundamentally, nothing's changed with Bitcoin. It is just a noise event. I don't really think that much happened besides a bunch of people at a casino being liquidated. I think people got greedy and just look at the number. I mean, they're coming out $19 billion liquidated in a very short time. That smells to me of liquidation hunting. These market makers and these exchanges are not your friends. They're not really there to be nice to you. It's all about dollars and fiat, and they're going to take it from you if you stay at that casino long enough. I'm not going to blame anybody for taking small leverage positions on something. That's your way of doing it. But you go to the casino and play long enough, you're going to lose. And it's a rigged game with these exchanges. It just reinforces what I've come to think of Bitcoin, not crypto, Bitcoin, is you save in it and you take it off the exchanges and you have real possession of it offline or in your wallets. You hold it in cold storage. You take it off the exchanges and that's your savings, your piggy bank, your digital piggy bank, and you hold it there. So no one can play games with it. Run a node to verify your transactions. That's your bearer asset that no one can take from you. You play these perp markets like people did, and these events do happen. I mean, Paul, you've been around Bitcoin a long time, just like me. We hear these newses that come out like, oh, China bans Bitcoin again. And then the next day, they're okay with Bitcoin. Price goes up and down. But if you've been around long enough and you kind of draw back, you notice that Bitcoin only goes up and to the right on that screen with moments of like one floor elevator down. And then it just starts marching up again. And then it takes an elevator down one floor. Then it walks up 3 floors and so on and so on. So if that's the case, this short-term elevated trip down for that one day, it's nothing. It's really nothing.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is you've been in the space a little while. You have seen some of the cycles and you've learning about Bitcoin for a long time. So you have strong conviction. But as we know, some people just coming in and some people are expecting the 4-year cycle correction. So
Mm,
some people are wondering if that's going to happen. And you say, yes, it's up and to the right, but it can be on a downtrend for up to a year sometimes.
yeah.
So what do you say to, new people who are coming in?
Yeah, this is just my opinion. Give it 4 years because that's the traditional like cycle number that we throw out there, 4 year cycles. Some people says it has to do with the halvening. Some people says it has to do with these liquidity and debt cycles out there. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Even if I was educated, have a master's degree, PhD in economies, I don't think they know either. No one has a crystal ball. But my belief is, my opinion is that the market is different in 2025 than it was during COVID, than it was during 2008 and 9, because I'm a little bit older. I remember some of these markets. I think the market is made up of people and psychology, the actual demographics of the people investing. So Bitcoiners and TA analysis and trying to find meaning in a cycle or a sequence is just human nature. And we refer to previous cycles, 2016, 20, whatever you want to do around those having events. We as humans try to find some sort of correlation to it or causation to these events. I think that's getting less and less. I think the impact of the Bitcoin halving is less and less as we go on. I think the players in the game are different now. Whereas in the past, it was retail, and we all thought the same thing. All retail was always talking about, "Oh, we're going into the winter, the crypto winter. We're going into the bear season. We have to wait until quarter 4 of this year." I remember all that talk, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when it's just a bunch of knuckleheads sitting around pushing buttons. Nowadays, we have institutions, banks, retirement funds, big players like BlackRock, soon to be countries. We have Michael Saylor, but there's gonna be other wannabe Michael Saylors too who could probably move the market, and the players are different, and I don't think they care about the 4-year cycle anymore. I think a new cycle might emerge, a new trend, or we might just grind up 3 steps and take a floor down and then grind up 3 steps. I think real a lot of it's out of retail's hands now, I think. I think we have less of an impact. The whales are starting to give up some of their coins, and it's gonna get redistributed, and I think the number 1 buyer, the front of the queue, is institutions, and they're gonna snag it. Me, I'm just trying to get as much as I can still at these prices and hold it. My timeline's longer than 4 years, but, I mean, I say 4 years for everyone, just give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good reminder to keep stacking, especially on dips. Dollar cost average is always a good thing when the price goes down, even though that's sometimes the hardest time to buy because the human nature thinks, well, it's going to go lower and lower. But like you said, nobody knows exactly. So it's an opportunity to stack. And I'm sure part of your conviction is because you've studied a lot and you have it in self custody. Hey there. Want to sleep easy? MICROSEED lets you stamp your seed phrase onto a small steel washer. Buy the device once and use it forever. I love it. It's discreet, precise, and easy to transport. Get yours below. For peace of mind with collaborative custody, the Bitcoin Advisor is a trusted team who can also help with inheritance planning. Just scan the QR code or use the link below. Now, back to the show. You mentioned the real estate and the Bitcoin. What are the differences for you holding your real estate and holding your Bitcoin in self custody?
I waver all the time on this, and I don't know if it's because of my conditioning. I didn't have real estate growing up. Parents, my family didn't own a lot of stuff, and the American dream was said. The best investment, the greatest investment you can make is your house, and I believe that. And then a lot of the rich people I saw, they owned um, rental properties. Those are the rich people. They own multifamilies and blah blah blah. So you try to emulate that system that I was born into, or that I saw. And that kind of carries over into adulthood. And I didn't have a lot of money in my 20s, so I couldn't even dream about doing that. But then it always hung with me that great creation of wealth is in real estate because that's what everyone always did. I mean, look at Congress. All the congressmen and congresswomen, they're all real estate agents. They're land barons. That's so they have to be right, right? But I think it's a line. I think we were fed that. I fell for it. And I did it. I think it's more of a flex. I think it's an ego flex to say, "Oh, I own 20-acre land or I own this many condos in this location." I think it's more of a flex. If you're looking for real appreciation over inflation, real appreciation over inflation, what asset is out there that's better? It's Bitcoin. That's about the only thing I can come up with that overcomes not the nominal hurdle rate, but the real hurdle rate out there. Bitcoin. That's backed by math, not forces of markets. Really backed by math.
I think in the past, that was the way to go. Buy real estate. That is the best store
Mhm.
of value
Yeah.
in the past. And we know the other one is gold, and gold is obviously making all-time highs too.
Mhm.
But people change their mind very slowly, and Bitcoin adoption is less
Yeah.
than percent. So it was the old way to do it,
Yeah.
but I went that route. I just wanted to tell you about my journey. I thought, "No, I need to buy real estate in order
Yeah.
to get ahead." That's what the wealthy people do. But then I started managing it and dealing with tenants and all of that stuff, and I'm like, "This is not so great. This is not for everybody."
No.
And then I found Bitcoin, And you don't have to manage Bitcoin. You
No.
just have to keep your Bitcoin safe.
Yeah. And look at the CAGR on Bitcoin, and even if in its infancy, and it probably dwindle a little bit, but still, it is so far ahead of everything else. And and it makes me question, like, who told this? Who started this narrative of buy the house? It's the American dream. It's the best investment you can do. You get equity in the house, and then you can borrow off it. Like, who started this whole web of this narrative? And it's probably the people, either bankers or people who owned all the houses. Because if I owned all the houses, I'd be telling everybody from the megaphone, buy houses, buy houses. Who are you going to buy from? Me. You drum up that demand, and you control the supply. Well, jeepers, what a great story. And most people buy into that. And then you figure out, like you said about managing rentals, house cleaning, taxes, insurance, upkeep. It's just never ending. But it feels good. You tell people, like, oh, hey, come on down and visit me. I got this condo down there. We can just stay in it. It's just a flex. I think the new flex might actually be farmland. I still believe in farmland, but who knows?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that also debt. We live in a debt-based system, so
Mm,
it's encouraging people to take debt. I am in real estate, and I was selling an affordable house in Miami the other day. I had 40 people come to see the house, most of them taking out loans with only 3.5% down, which is challenging. And the cash buyer won over, and the cash buyer was an investor. And yes, he is a wealthy man. And I feel bad for all the people who didn't get their home, because the American dream was to own a home, and I'm all for owning a home if that's where you love to live and everything, but to take out heavy debt to get it is questionable.
yeah. Geez, it's such a racket, almost a narrative, and the investors are like the Black Rocks and the big companies. They profit from this, and not much has changed in the utility of a house. It doesn't really. You look at, like, I hear so many people say this. Oh, I bought my house for 300K. It's now worth 600K, and that's a very short statement. 300K, 600K. Yeah, 600K is more than 300K by $300,000. You doubled your money. These are all basic maths of looking at it. But did you factor in how much you were actually paying with the interest on your mortgage? Because that 300K house actually ended up costing you probably close to 600K. And now you're selling it for 600K. Did you minus off all the taxes and the insurance and any upkeep you did onto that house? Modern updating and all that stuff. No, you probably didn't. So then when you do all the math all over again, it's really not a doubling of your money. You might have got your money back out of all those years of tying up your money.
And then we got the basement too.
Yeah, and then that's in only in terms of dollars. When we put the denominator in US dollars, maybe the house didn't move up at all. Maybe that's just a reflection, a mirror, an image, a hologram of the dollar losing value. It just takes more piles of this crap to buy the house. Because the last time I checked, a house is a domicile. It's just four walls and a roof to protect you from the elements, keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. You can sit around with your family, have dinner, watch TV, watch the Red Sox play. It's a domicile. The utility of the house didn't change. And then now you price it in Bitcoin, and houses are very cheap priced in Bitcoin. Very cheap. This is the best time to buy a house if you can find a seller for Bitcoin. Holy cow. If you held on to Bitcoin for a few cycles, your average cost for a Bitcoin was $7,000. I mean, cheapest. This is the cheapest time to buy a house if that's what you want. If that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you consider selling any of your real estate for Bitcoin?
Oh, absolutely. And I was very happy, proud, surprised, kind of like, what took you so long? In talking with my wife actually mentioned that too. She's like, "Hey, why don't we, when this place gets fixed up, you know, and we, add a little bit to the back, make some upkeeps to this property. Why don't we sell it and buy some Bitcoin? My head exploded. I was like, holy cow. I was like, we've been married for so long. And that's the first time you ever said it, because I've been thinking it and not really bringing it up and having that communication with her about it. I started thinking about that a few years ago. And then she came around and said it. So I was quite surprised, proud, surprised. What took you so long? Those are kind of my like reactions to it. So yeah, it's something I'm thinking about. And I like to use the property for other things besides investment or preservation of wealth or store of value. That would be not as good as Bitcoin. I I still attach to some of the land because it has an emotional attachment. Some of the properties that I have, I'm emotionally attached to them because of my ordeals to get it at that time. It's a reminder of a journey that I started a long time ago. So I kind of have to break that in my head, let go of a couple and just put it into Bitcoin, put it into Bitcoin. That's something I know I should do, but it's difficult sometimes.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I love that your wife is the one who said that. It means that your message is getting through.
Yeah, yeah, a long time. It took a long time.
Yeah, and let's say that you did make the decision today to sell a property and buy Bitcoin. And it takes a while to sell a property, as we all know, not as
Yeah.
illiquid as Bitcoin. But would you wait for a cycle bottom, as we call it?
No. So it's a little bit more, even more difficult where I am because when I say like properties, people like, what does that mean? Is this guy like a land baron? No, no. But the properties I'm talking about are in Brazil. So that's where I hope to spend half my year of my life down there just chasing the sun. Half the year in Brazil, southern hemisphere. Then when it turns winter up there, it'll be summer up here. That's how I envision my life in the future. And I'm trying really hard to make that a reality. The properties I'm talking about are in Brazil, so it's even less liquid of a market. So we'd have to put it on the market. They've all appreciated greatly in terms of the Brazilian real or reais or reais, however you want to pronounce it. But I'm not looking to make a profit in the Brazilian dollar. I'm looking to get more sats, more Bitcoin. That's the way kind of how my mind thinks. I've told other real estate people this too. I'm not interested in dollars. I'm not interested in selling my land for the Brazilian real. No offense. I wouldn't sell it for the US dollar either. But I am very interested in either a trade, a land swap deal, because I like Terra, Tejano, or Bitcoin. I would sell this for Bitcoin in a heartbeat. And they say the same thing. Interesting. Interesting. And I can see the gears turning. Um, I don't think they've ever come across someone who says they're not interested in dollars, no matter what price you put on it. And I tell them that flat out, you can triple it. I'm not interested. As soon as you say dollars or reals, I'll hold on to it instead.
Yeah, I love that. Very, very interesting situation. And as we mentioned in the introduction, you're a firefighter. And have you been able to bring any firefighters into the Bitcoin area? Because it's something that they could really use right now with increasing costs.
Oh boy. It is such a passion of mine to do that. Those are my favorite people to talk about because yeah, so a while back, you might be familiar with Proof of Workforce nonprofit organization out of California, started by Don Bay, a fellow firefighter that we just met through Bitcoin. And he had his own thing going on in California, and he helped out my union to purchase Bitcoin, self custody it, the union. So our union got together and had a vote. And this is after many years of me talking over dinner, lunch, breakfast, during shift change about this thing called Bitcoin. And at the time, other cryptocurrencies, this was 17, 18, around that point where I started really coming out talking about it. Some people, some of my friends on the department jumped in as well. And they were real estate guys and they were gold bugs. So they kind of understood the value. Um, at first number go up, but then they started valuing it or looking at it as like, I'm buying a information system, and this thing that you're talking about is just like the data on it. So I was like, wow, these guys are sharp. I thought they were just like old school gold bugs and, you know, triple decker owners and multifamily owners, but they really understood it. They're a lot smarter than I am in terms of money and how the economy works. Yeah, so that was awesome. We got them on board and they still hold. They still hold Bitcoin. They still hold, there are other cryptocurrencies. They won't get rid of those. But they held, they're not selling. So I mean, I think that's awesome. And with Dom Bay's help and proof of workforce, our union became, I think, the fourth union in the country to self-custody Bitcoin. And that's the union's Bitcoin. And yeah, that's awesome. That was great. And I tried other departments, but it's a trust thing too, because when I go to other departments, they know me as a firefighter, but they don't know me as working with them all the time. So they're kind of suspicious. Firefighters and cops are very suspicious of people trying to sell them things. I, I'm not selling them anything.
I hear you. Yet firefighters and cops keep our society together in a way, right? They're just the regular workers that
In Yeah, and they're the ones that could benefit the most from it. Like, and that's what's frustrating about it is that this K-shaped economy, this K-shaped future, this K-shaped society that we're all heading to, it is just getting more and more divergent of the haves and have-nots. The ones in the middle are the collateral damage of the way these financial policies are set up and the way every country and their central banks run money. The people in the middle class, the firefighters, the cops, and the nurses, the teachers, these people, the ones that are going to get hosed by this. And they're going to fall on one side or the other. And it's very hard to fall on the have side unless you own a boatload of stocks, a boatload of property, because eventually you're not going to be able to even afford the taxes on your property. And it's going to get taken from you probably. You leave it to your kids. If they don't have a really good job, they're not going to be able to afford the house that they were just inherited. So it's frustrating to me because it seems like Bitcoin or firefighters and cops and working people, wage workers, salary workers would be so incentivized to learn about Bitcoin and save in Bitcoin. And sometimes they just see the number on the screen. They're one of my favorite demographics to talk to, but frustrating as well. And I get it. I get it.
do you think it's about ego with many people, or it's just about re-educating? Because, like you mentioned before, we've been told, we were told that house is the place to store wealth.
Yeah.
And now it's very, very fear thinking, and we have to almost change our whole perspective and have a little bit of an ego death.
Yeah. Absolutely. I went through it. It's painful. So the older firefighters, older cops, older emergency personnel workers, older nurses, they are from the old school. They still believe in that fiat number. They look at Bitcoin as just a number to increase their fiat holdings. They're still thinking in terms of that. They love physical real estate. They love Coca-Cola stocks and Disney stocks that pay a dividend. They love that. That one of the ways I say that is like, all right, yeah, you can get your 2% paid in US dollars, but inflation rate is actually like 8%. Price of goods and services is about way more than that. And you're getting 2% in fiat to hold that stock. And with Bitcoin, there is no yield per se, but just the pure CAGR is the yield through the years. And then the younger guys, they're a bunch of cowboys. These guys are crazy. They want 100x right now on poop coin by pushing a button. They want it now. And they want it not just double their money. They want to 100x their money right away. And they want to be able to do it so conveniently and so quickly by just pushing two buttons. If you have to push four buttons, I'm not getting into it. There's a sweet spot there, and there is Bitcoin will come for you, and you will find the incentive to get on the Bitcoin train at some point or another. Something's going to come along, and it's better to be ready for that. just in case, just a little bit to start. And it's like, that's all you need to do is get off of zero. Learn how to self-custody it. Learn how to self-custody it. Get off of zero. Learn how to self-custody. Give it a little bit of time. And eventually people are smart. They'll figure it out. But they're not faced with that, not incentivized yet. But they will.
So what you're saying is at some point everybody's going to come to Bitcoin, and
So, yeah.
we're trying to get the message out for people to get there now before the big nation states get there and price goes up a lot.
And that's okay. It's like you don't wanna believe Pat or Paula. You don't wanna listen to Pat or Paula. That's fine, I get it, because there's a lot of weirdos and scams out there, I get it, but someday they're gonna get a telephone call or a pop-up message when they log into their Fidelity and Charles Schwab account, and it's gonna be your personal, AI agent, manager, or an actual person who got the okay to pick up the phone and tell you, hey, listen, we believe it's good to put about 2 to 4% of your account into Bitcoin. They'll believe that person then, and they'll do it. That's just whenever that date comes, whenever those people on the phones get the okay from their bosses and risk managers to pick up the phone. Now you don't have to listen to Paul or Pat because some other guy with a degree or a couple letters after their name is telling you it's okay. Okay, that's the time it happened for you.
We hear a lot about the K-shaped economy, and you mentioned it. Just tell us a little bit about what you mean by that.
Well, that scares me. I say that a lot, and some people understand what I'm talking about, some people don't. And I'm not going to claim to know everything about it, but what I'm seeing, and I've seen this in my travels in South America, is the inequality, the access to money, to means of production, to wealth. It's being divergent. The haves are taking more of the money at a faster rate and leaving very little those on the bottom of the socioeconomic scale. Those people on the bottom of the socioeconomic scale, though, in a lot of these countries, are provided some safety net in services such as healthcare or basic staple foods, maybe government assistance in their housing. And that makes the government very powerful because those people need it. And unfortunately, because of this K shaped society we're heading to, more people are going to end up in the bottom of that inflection, which makes the government even more important. So they got a lot more people to take care of now. It's just so hard to get on this train going up. And those people who, the elites, the bankers, the people in control of the money, they're just set up like a simulation to take more. Money is going to flow more into their hands because of the policies and the structure of that financial system. So much trust to put in this government and these organizations given authority by the government to control the monetary system. You're trusting in people. You're trusting in the word and laws of man. I'm fearful of the future. I'm fearful of what it's going to be like in 25, 30 years, kind of like those dystopian movies. And I can see it happening. I don't know how fast it'll happen. Hopefully, I'm not here when it happens, or hopefully, I'm on the right side of this. So, people have to educate themselves and see this coming and stop saving some of their money in assets that will not depreciate. Don't be a consumer, be an investor, be a saver. We've come full circle back to saving. So, I hope people can save in the right assets. Don't spend foolishly. There's so much more to life than buying things. Take care of your bills, take care of your mortgage, your rent, feed your family, eat good quality, healthy food, and whatever you have left over, put it into something, find something that you like. I like Bitcoin. Is that the same for everybody right now? No. But find something. Do your homework. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. But eventually, I think Bitcoin will come for everyone. I think a lot of capital inflows are going to be coming from all over the place in a few years.
Well, Save yourself some time and go straight for Bitcoin. At least get some now and then
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm a big believer in Jeff Booth's message, and I try to listen to at least one of his interviews a week. And I listened to his interview with Lisa Tamati,
Mm.
and her husband's actually a firefighter in New Zealand, I heard, and they are facing strikes because the firefighters are not making enough money there. And it's just funny that, yes, the K-shaped economy means, yes, if you buy assets like real estate, Bitcoin, and gold, you are more likely to do well and you will do better than the people who do not have assets. And that is getting more and more true as time goes on. People closer to the money printer will obviously have the most. And I think when you mentioned your fear, it's the fear that we have this wealthy people who are trying to protect themselves from all the other people who are very unhappy and upset because they got less. And I do not want to live in a fear-based society. And I heard Jeff say this to her in this interview, that focus on what you believe in, focus on Bitcoin rather than living in fear. And that is my message and my goal with this channel, is to, once you go into Bitcoin, your life becomes better. And the more time you spend in Bitcoin and the more you save in Bitcoin, like you mentioned, you tend not to spend on useless stuff anymore. And so that's my message. Get into Bitcoin, learn about it, and focus on what matters rather than go into, "Oh, the world is going to hell in a handbasket." Yes,
Mhm.
the fiat world is. The fiat world is, but the Bitcoin world is getting better and better.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. I mean, it just anecdotally, just I look at me, my experiences, the way my world has changed, the way I view the world has changed. It's been nothing but positive since I got cancer and found Bitcoin. And it's kind of weird that it all happened at the same time. Now, it's up and down and up and down. Everything hasn't been like roses and stuff, but it's been up and down, up and down. But it's kind of like an inflection point in my life, you know, things that I deemed to be important kind of lost its luster. Other things became more important. And you start noticing and seeing things and not be distracted by the noise. Like you had brought up, as the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, you, that's because of money. That's because of the broken structure of money, currency, debt-based currency. That is the root of it. If you really look down at all this stuff, people are angry. Politics are divided. Wars, whether it be kinetic wars or economic wars, are on the rise. People are angry and people are grouped based upon and divided based on everything from your skin color to the religion, God you pray to, where you live, who you voted for, Yankees versus Red Sox. Everyone just gets divided to distract you from the real problem. Why do people hate each other? Because people got stuff and other people have nothing and no hope. And other people don't even have a problem in the world. Doesn't seem fair to me. I don't know. That's just my view on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it is a fair world, but we do have the choice to cut down our spending, to stop
Mm.
spending on frivolous stuff, and to spend and to save as much in Bitcoin as possible. And, that's the hope. That's where the hope comes from Bitcoin,
Yeah.
is is that once you make some changes in your life, it can get better.
Yes. And people, like, you can see this. So I see this. I notice this, like busy restaurant, jam-packed, carts full at the grocery store, even though prices are outrageous. Um, Liquor stores, restaurants, they're full. They're full because I think people are starting to just say, "Hey, I'd rather spend my money now because everything's getting so expensive." In a month, that steak is going to be more expensive. So I'm going to buy it now and maybe put it in the freezer or eat it tonight. And one might say that the economy is doing great. Oh, look at all the spending. I don't think that's a good sign. I don't think that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the numbers show it, right? Credit card debt is very high, and people are living paycheck to paycheck. Over 50% of Americans do. I know even higher in the rest of the world. So, yeah, that's a very good point. I wanted to ask you a little bit about running a node. I know you run a node, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I by no means am an expert technically on this stuff. The reason why I got into doing this is I wanted to have a little bit more sovereignty. We always hear that word sovereign, self-sovereign. Well, if you keep your Bitcoin on an exchange, you're really not that sovereign because I don't think it's really a Bitcoin. If you just keep your Bitcoin on whatever hardware wallet that you choose and you use their interface, their software on the your screen, your computer screen, you're basically just trusting their nodes for verification. So we keep going back to that trust thing. And the only way to really know what you have, what you've spent, and that you're seeing an accurate picture of what's happening on the blockchain, and this is what's cool about Bitcoin, is that you have the ability now, very simply plug and play, to run your own node, connect your wallet to it, and you can kind of keep track of your own coins and verify the transactions. And so, yes, I do. And I geographically split them for no particular reason, but I have one in the United States and I have one in Brazil. And it's more of a hobby, but it's also me learning more about Bitcoin. That's why I did it. And I know there's different hardwares out there, some of them open source, some of them closed source, but they're getting really easy to do now and they're mostly plug and play. And I would encourage uh, any Bitcoiner out there. Great, you got Bitcoin. Great, you got it off the exchange. Great, you have it on a hardware wallet. Take the next step and get a node that helps you verify the transactions. It gives you a good look into the blockchain. And then maybe buy one of the cheap solo miners and learn about that too. You can learn about the difference between the two. Um, I look at it as an expression of my freedom to get a node. Now, there's been a lot of controversies about the softwares. You got a lot of ego involved here. You got a lot of people trying to ram things down your throat. I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin Core versus the Knots guys. Um, I have two nodes. One of them it has Bitcoin Core, but I've not upgraded to allow non-monetary data on it. It's my choice. And it's only because I'm lazy and I was in Brazil for a long time. But now that I'm back in America for a short time, I'll be sure to transfer over to Knots. The one that I set up in Brazil, I started off with Knots, and I'm just going to remain there. And that's just my freedom, my choice. I don't want anyone telling me what software to run. And I think it's good to have competition, just not done in a nasty way that it's been done. I think there's a lot of nasty people out there who think they're very smart. They are very smart, but I think they're also condescending. And I don't appreciate it. I know a lot of people, other people didn't appreciate it either. They are smarter than me, though. They're smarter. I'll give them that, but they're not that smart to tell me what to do. So that's my choice, and that's my expression of my freedom and censorship. So we can talk philosophically for hours, Paul, about who's being the threat to censor, non-censorship, who's being the threat of starting a fork, but we go around in circles on that one. Basically, I like Bitcoin as a monetary only platform. Send money, save money, spend money on an open ledger, decentralized ledger. You don't need a lot of space on that. But if you want to include pictures and other stuff, plenty of other chains to do that on. There's plenty of other chains to do that on. So my questions to the people who are pushing for it is why now? What is the rush at this moment in 2025? Because nothing seems to be broken all these years, and now they want to do it. And my suspicion is it's driven by money, fiat. That's my suspicion because it doesn't really make any sense. One thing I've learned in my life that when things don't make sense, a decision or a movement, it's either political or money. So that's what I'm doing. And I don't want any part of it. So I'm just going to switch over to knots. But I wish there would be other ones too. Maybe there's room for other software out there to download and nodes. So we all have a bunch of choices.
I think that was very well said. Very well said. I wanted to ask you about getting cancer and how you changed your life, and then also how Bitcoin changed you.
Mm. Yeah, we touched on that earlier. And I will say this, that people used to say there's a silver lining in everything. When a door closes, another one opens. These are all like very clever little sayings. And when I had cancer and I heard something like this, it kind of made me mad. I was like, "Jeepers, this is really unfair." Blah blah blah. Like, and I was worried. And I actually thought, "Geez, it's not a lot of chances I'm going to walk away from this one." But I'm going to try to suck this one up, and I'm going to work through it. And I did. I worked through it. I didn't take the time I worked through chemotherapy, and I worked very quickly after my surgery. I had a piece of my colon taken out. And then, like I said, I was newly married. And there's a few things you discover. You discover who your friends are. You discover the absurdity of certain motivations that we have. Absurd, completely absurd. You figure out how much time you wasted chasing shiny things that don't have long-term meaning. And then you also figure out that you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time. Oh my God. Can't believe this much time has gone by in my life. So yeah, things become a little bit more focused and reprioritized. You clean up your house. You clean up your own backyard first. And you focus on, so health, number one, health, mind and body. Not just body, not just doing sit-ups all day long. Mind too, healthy mind. Understand that time, a billionaire would trade all their money for more time. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. So time. And yeah, senses are important. Experiences are the most important things. That's what I learned from cancer. Working, now that led me down a rabbit hole with Bitcoin. That led me down a rabbit hole of money. I've gotten a very good education, not through college, not through university, studying about economics. So I can at least have a cursory conversation with someone in economics. I think I have a better understanding of that. And that's important because if you have knowledge in that, you can make better decisions with your money. You don't have to get cancer to change your whole mindset. But that was the spark. That was like a catalyst that sped everything up. So in hindsight, it was silver lining to getting cancer. It was a door that closed and another one opened up. It's funny how true that really is. You just don't want to hear it from someone else. You want to discover that for yourself. And that's what I believe. Yeah.
So do you think pain brings a lot of people to Bitcoin?
Yes. Incentives, and it's like, I've thought of this before, like who doesn't have Bitcoin? We always talk about who has Bitcoin, who doesn't have Bitcoin, and it's someone who probably has some hard words here. Pervasive ignorance, meaning they're so programmed in their life. They're a banker, they're wealthy, they sit close to the money printer. They are not hurt by inflation. Inflation hurts different people. Chicken and beef prices go up, Paula. It hurts people like us. If you're ultra wealthy, chicken and beef prices don't mean anything. But if the yacht goes up because of inflation, that hurts them. That doesn't hurt me because I'm not in the market for a yacht. It hurts them. These people have pervasive ignorance. They've hacked that system. They benefit from that system. There's no reason for them to go into Bitcoin, really, until they feel the pinch, until their wealth manager tells them to do it, and they'll believe it. That's their incentive. Hey, at this rate, your kids will be poor. Unless you buy Bitcoin, they'll jump all over Bitcoin and come in heavy. They will. But pervasive ignorance. I think there's some laziness to people. I think people are comfortable and don't want to learn because it's hard for them to learn. This is a difficult thing to understand. It's not like putting together, you know, Jenga puzzle or something, or puzzle. It's harder than that. Bitcoin's harder than that. Makes you think. So I think there's a little bit of laziness to it too. And then it's just not the area of smartness for people. Smart. They're not smart in that area. They're smart in their areas. They may be a great physician, a great carpenter. They're just not smart in terms of monetary systems. But again, if they're not lazy and they feel it, the inflation will come for them. Maybe they'll become smart in that particular area. That's what I hope. So, yeah, what person doesn't have Bitcoin? Maybe pervasive ignorance. They have no need for this. Lazy, and it's just not their area of expertise.
And not curious enough. I've
Yeah.
spoken to a lot of Bitcoiners now, and most of them are curious. And then also there's something about them that's freedom loving and self-sovereign thinking. They don't wanna rely on the government, and that brings some people to Bitcoin,
Yeah, that's the person that has Bitcoin, and the person that doesn't get into Bitcoin is the opposite side.
is what
Yeah.
you mentioned.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we
Totally agree.
covered. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed this discussion. Tell us where people can find you.
Um, Nowhere really. Brazil. If you're down in Brazil, you could probably find me. I stick out like a sore thumb there. But on Twitter, I jump around the spaces. I like to hit all the Bitcoin spaces. I like to jump outside of Bitcoin spaces to get out of the echo chamber. But it's my handle is Bitcoin BTC adjudication. It's a tough one, but yeah, it has a little symbol of Bitcoin. You can find me there most of the time. But I mean, through you, Paula, if someone reaches out and wants to talk or thinks about moving to Brazil, they can come through you and you can find me.
Sounds good, and I'll
Mm.
put a link below.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you
Pat.
so much, Paula. I always enjoy it. Awesome to talk to.